You're on mute. How you gonna start the show off on
Good
mute?
morning, show, Black Power Media. Yeah, I'm on mute, but I thought I was about to be here by myself. I was about to be
Never
excited.
that. I'm always here on time.
She Play Davis. What's up, Kamal? What's up, remixers? What's up, world? Welcome back to again some of this good boom bap breakfast, the dopest morning show on the planet. What's up, Kamal?
Whoa, wait a minute. Well, first of all, I gotta hide this Nike thing. It bothers me when that shows. So it's like I'm not giving Mikey no free advertisement. It's me and you. I don't see the ear doctor. Did you get an email?
Ear doctor said his internet is working up. Kim said apparently she's not able to make it this morning. And I said, and so I showed up and I was like, so let's go.
But you knew I was gonna be here though. You know what I'm saying? Well, we got a special guest today, as long as he shows up. We're gonna have no breaks, no music.
No music, no breaks, no nothing. It's straight.
It's gonna be like an I mix what I like thing. That's right. We're gonna hit it hard today. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. Like that's how it's gonna be.
Let's strip away. I'm not done. Let's strip away all the excesses of the show. You know what I'm saying? Let's get it down to its bare bones. You know what I'm saying? Let's make that happen today. I'm so excited. So excited. Okay, I need to go back to sleep.
So what was I lost what I was going to say. Anyway, but listen, I'm glad for whatever reason. I'm glad that we're all here. You're able to join me because there is something I wanted to raise this morning. There were two things I couldn't wait to raise this morning, and I'm glad to see my man Hiram in the chat because peace to him and James and everybody and all the others who are here this morning because Hiram and I were on a Zoom event. I think he was one of the co-organizers of the Black Men Build conversation with Jihad. Jihad Abdul Momit. Now I can't remember his name. Now I'm tripping on his name.
Now you knocked it out of my head. Oh,
why am I tripping? I used to even do it.
And Ashanti
Alston. But I was saying I even used to do a weekly segment with Jihad about political prisoners some years ago, and now Al Mumit, I think
I think that's it. That's it.
Abdul Mumit.
Yes.
Thank you, Hiram. The joint was off the hook, and there's one point. I really wish this was out there for the public, and I don't know if they ever do that with these discussions. But there's one point that Jihad raised last night that really hit home for me that I wanted to bring to us this morning, which was that as much as we talk about political prisoners and as much as we support them, one thing that we're not clear on, and I'm not bringing the energy that he had last night. I just want to be clear, but one thing we've lost sight of or not clear enough on or not angry enough about, as I would paraphrase it, is that our struggle is we're not organized enough, we're not powerful enough, we cannot put any demands on this system, that even our heroes and the political prisoners who have made it to this side of the wall before they passed only did so, as he pointed out, just to die. And he even pointed out, he said, you all were not there in the courtroom when Russell Maroon Schultz had to denounce his status as a freedom fighter and cry in the courtroom for his freedom. Sundiata Acoli had to denounce his status as a freedom fighter and basically apologize for the few minutes of freedom that they get before they die. And I had not really, I don't know, maybe the way he put it or the framing or the energy, I've not really thought of it in quite that way, or I don't know, with that level of focus. And it was infuriating and inspiring. I wanted to at least, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh no, I was going to say, look, I mean, I always, you think of Cabral and, tell no lies, claim no easy victories kind of thing. like I always get a little, obviously I get a little like, weirded out when people put forth like phrases like, we freed this one and we freed that one, because part of me, a large part of me is like, it's fantastic that that these folks have finally got out, that some of them are not dying in prison, some have died in prison. But, we've put forth some efforts as a larger community towards drawing attention to them and making sure that they are taken care of in some ways. But we had by no means forced their release. And that's the thing that I think people, we step over the line a little bit, because, and I think it's important to acknowledge that, yeah, we are asking the state to do something because we have either A, been defeated, but B, have not built up a force that is strong enough to challenge, to make demands, to force things to happen. And we're not even in a time period where, whether or not the state wants to do it or not, folks make it happen, if you know what I'm saying. So we know all that is not what's happening. And if we don't take a serious evaluation of the fact that that's the case, and it's okay to say that that's the case, because that allows you to then, in my opinion, begin to struggle and say, well, what does get us there? What do we need to be doing to get us there again, as opposed to making this sort of false suggestion of sort of rah-rah stuff like, we set this one free, we set that one free, as if we're working almost in the tradition of the BLA, right? It's almost like we make it sound like we did a prison break for them. It was like, that's not what happened at all. These folks, when I was in New York and we were at the stage where people like Herman Bell and some other folks were coming up for parole, and the primary discussion was, what do they have to renounce? Do they have to do this? Some were, some were not. But that was a huge discussion amongst those of us on the outside who were part of like their support. And on the inside, it's like, what were the parameters of what they would do? And at that point, think about it. That was like they were in for 25, 30 years, not the 40 to 45 years they are when they eventually get out. So even then, there was that conversation about like, it's like, if we really want, if we, we might be at that stage where it's like, some of us had various opinions. Like, I was like, go lie to them. I don't care. Tell the parole board anything they need to hear just to get out. But for them themselves who are doing the time and who did the time under the idea that they were strong on these politics, they were the ones who expressed the most doubt about doing it. And some of them ultimately had to give in. But they the ones who are just like, I stood by these politics for literally decades, right? These are the politics that I stood by. And when I had whatever trial, I stood up and said I was a new African revolutionary, or I was a liberation fighter, or I was with the Black Liberation Army, and we were doing this for these political reasons. So, that's a 180 to get out. And of course, it just speaks to the condition of movement and the condition of like what freedom fighting means. I will also say, lastly, that we will get to continue this conversation because at 9 o'clock, as long as he stays awake, of course, Ashanti Austin will be joining us here
Right
on the
on.
remix. So we can further that discussion that they were having last night. So, yeah.
No, that's excellent. And shout out to Black Men Build. Shout out to you for your work with them behind the scenes. Kamal, I like to think that had some influence on the direction that they were taking with that conversation last night. And then I also think it's great that they referred to Hiram as their elder. So that was my favorite part of the discussion last
I didn't
night.
hear that part. I was on for a little while. I didn't hear that.
Yeah, towards the end, I think they said shout out to Hiram, he's our elder, and I said I said that was right on. Makes sense. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to bring up quickly this morning before we get to something more serious, that is sort of on the other end of the spectrum. I've been thinking about it since last week, since it came up in a joke on the remix last week. We had some fun with this whole thing of I was complaining about people's just, how they were talking about me and others in the chat, and was making a point that in all my years of work, people have never spoken to me in person in any of the spaces I've been in, the way I've seen people get at me in the chat here or elsewhere. And we made some jokes, and Kalonji made some reference to my size and all this other stuff. And that's why, it's been kind of bothering me all week. I am not, even at my biggest and most physically imposing and in shape version, I have never been so much of an intimidating force in these spaces particularly compared to the other young women and men and folks who are in shape and big themselves and this, that, and the third. That wasn't, so all jokes aside, I think that isn't the issue. The issue is, and I think this is on a lesser level related to what Jihad was saying last night, that when you commit yourself to physically show up in organized space, when you take another step to commit to joining an organization and going through certain levels of protocol, to engage in spaces and discussion, and when you see others who are in the room who you know are with you and actually want to win, they're not trying to score likes and points online, they want to win even if nobody ever knows their name. There is something humbling about that. And it makes people, and I do think even, and there is, I don't want to say, there, we do, and they do exist, heated arguments. They do get people getting, tables get, moved around, chairs get, like it does get, but there is still, I think, a level of respect, and there has just been a line and a barrier that people don't cross once they've committed to that. And I think that's what we don't see in these spaces. So I just wanted to bring that up real quick. Like, that it wasn't that people are like, oh, Jared is so big and scary. That's never been the case. Plenty of people, unfortunately, have wanted to test me over the years. That's not the case. The case is that, once you get into those rooms where people have said, I am wanting a revolution, it just changes. That's what I think, at least.
Well, I mean, I think it's a product of social media. I just think it's so easy for folks to say things in a semi-anonymous, safe space, and to just go all out, right? To say things that they wouldn't say to anybody, mostly wouldn't say to people in their faces, or would figure out different ways to say it, or be less angry or troll-like. So I think it's the social media space that's caused a lot of that. A lot of arguments online. Even as we read things, like it's not only just the person sending it, it's the receiver of the information too. I think even as we read things online, the interpretation is always more like it's like the way it's said. I think even heightens the pushback, right? When you get emails or you see people saying things on social media, it's like it immediately, it's like tone goes out the window. It's all about like it's the assumption is that this was meant in some aggressive way, and a lot of times it was, but you just don't know because there's no way to interpret how it's being said, whether it's being said in a funny voice, whether it's being said in some way that demands a response that's adequate for what's being asked for. So all that stuff, I think, is going out the window, particularly on social media. And it just becomes one of these things where people, that's why a few years ago, I kind of like, I think like everybody, like a lot of folks, after a while, it's like, I'm not fighting no more on social media. I'm not sure I get anything out of that. Like, say what you say, I'll just keep scrolling. I don't know you don't really know me, so what is there to really struggle about? If I see you, then we can chat it out or do whatever. But this is not, a lot of times it's meant in a way to be insulting or to try to one up somebody. So what's the point?
That's it. Hey, and I can't advocate this, but I can say from experience that this has worked for me. Years, when you get stretched, when your mind gets stretched to its limits, it is humbling, and you will experience an ego death. But I'm not advocating it. I'm just saying that did happen for me. So anyway. All right, so we don't have the ear doctor here this morning, so we can't take our normal break, but we can go ahead and slap the map and get into some news and discussion in advance of what I'm very excited to I don't think I knew that Ashanti was showing up this morning, so that's very dope to me to learn that. Pleasant surprise here on the Remix Morning Show, Black Power Media. And so if I can just find the joint, let's do it. Oh, and yeah, and just to be clear, Shirley is correct. That's why I said with Jackie's on, I don't mess with these low center of gravity folks. These short folks, I don't mess with them. That's right. I don't. You shouldn't be scared of me. Anyway, Kamal, you got anything you wanted to get started with? Thankfully, Sister Erica has us chock full of stories, including one I see that just begs silliness. But anything
Yeah,
in
I
particular you
got
wanted to get
one,
us started?
major news that just hit yesterday was, and this is an Atlanta centric, but obviously has national ramifications as always. So the murderers of Rashad Brooks will not face any trial or any charges. It says charges to be dropped against officers in fatal shooting of Rashad Brooks. Mr. Brooks was shot to death in 2020 after two Atlanta officers tried to arrest him. A special prosecutor announced on Tuesday that the charges against them would be dropped. If folks remember, this was during the George Floyd, Breonna Taylor uprisings, when in Atlanta, Rashad Brooks, who had fell asleep at the sort of drive-through, I believe, in the Wendy's, police were called. The police moved the person over to the side, and then began a long period, basically, of chastising, of giving advice, of then making the person obviously walk to say that they were lucid or not lucid, and then deciding that they were going to arrest him. He struggled, broke away, ran. I think part of it is that he grabbed a taser. The taser, both firing mechanisms of the taser went off. The story by the police is that he turned around as if he was going to use it once again, and they considered it a deadly weapon. And so the prosecutors, in this case, the investigators who were the prosecutors, said that that was the basis for them deciding to not make any charges and or to strip away all of the charges of the officers. Uh, Remember, however, that Mr. Brooks was shot in the back and in the buttocks as he was running. And I note the other part of the story that the chastisement and the time it took, because if these officers, again, we talked about this story, another story similar to this, but didn't end this way last week. Where in a park incident, instead of just telling people to leave the park, the officers decided that they need to get IDs, they needed to chastise, they needed to give tickets. And then when someone had the nerve to challenge and ask, why are we doing all this? Then they get all hyped and they want to throw you to the ground and arrest you. So in this particular case, they could have easily had done what they do in a lot of times in cases like this with someone who may be intoxicated, is call somebody on the call a family member on his cell phone. He was lucid enough to talk, Mr. Brooks was. Call somebody, a family member, have them come pick him up. If they were so intent on arresting, they could have done it right away. But instead, they dragged the situation out to a point of making him scared and nervous, and the chastisement again, and all the talk about how you should handle yourself and all the rest of it. There was no reason to pull guns and shoot a man in the back for sleeping in a Wendy's drive-through. It's just never, it raises to that level. So we have another case where this is happening. I'm sure that our organization and other organizations will be soon having protests about this again. But this is what we're talking about. This is the type of police behavior. And again, here in Atlanta, it's mixed with the idea that they're building or will be trying to build this Cop City, the so-called training institute in this facility, which is a militarized institution that they're building, and the reopening of the Atlanta jail to upwards of 700 beds. Well, I should say 700 beds and then upwards possibly to full 1,300 beds. And once they open it, they're going to try to fill it. So this is the state of things that we're talking about.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, obviously, well, not obviously, but I don't have. I find it hard to find something to say in response to that, other than here we go again. Whatever people have had to say about progress being made in other incidents where police have been charged or even convicted. There's another one of these incidents, and of course, I don't have the latest numbers in front of me, but I believe that the country is still on pace for its sort of record-setting violence of police against Black people and others. By the way, I mean, you know, they're not entirely peaceful with everybody else either. And
we do have that story in the chat. I mean, I know you might be trying to get to something else soon, but there is a story in the chat, or in the run sheet, about the beating that took place the other day, which may be a good tag or a piece to this.
Let's see. So there was. Let me see. So there's a couple. There's. Is this the one you're talking about? The
probe launched into violent Arkansas arrest captured on video.
Yeah. And as Kamal just said, probes launched into violent Arkansas arrest captured on video. 2 Crawford County Sheriff's deputies and a Mulberry police officer have been suspended. State police and federal officials launched investigations into the use of force against a man by Arkansas law enforcement officers that was captured on viral video. Officials said Monday. The video was recorded Sunday outside a convenience store in Mulberry as 3 officers, 2 from the Crawford County Sheriff's Department and 1 from the Mulberry Police Department, arrested a man on allegations of trespassing and other crimes, Arkansas police said in a statement. Well, I mean, that's it there. Well, there it is, Kamal. Trespassing. I mean, that's a crime against property. So I'm with the police on this one.
Yeah, you must beat somebody's ass. I mean, if you
got to get
play the video, I think they're about to show it. So if you enlarge that video off to the side.
This one here?
The one with that one right there.
I don't know if I can. I don't see how to do that. I can unmute it.
The other is a local police officer. All 3 of them have been suspended. We also have information on the suspect that was arrested after this. He's been identified as Randall Ray Worcester. He's being charged with 7 different things, including battery and resisting arrest. We have heard also from local authorities, the mayor and the sheriff, both saying that this is under investigation. The mayor saying he was shocked and sickened. Meanwhile, the sheriff said he condemns all violence against anyone that is detained by police. So we'll wait for more details as this investigation continues. Aaron.
All right, Guadagnega squad. Thank you.
Sure.
No stress, no mess, just yum. That's it.
What is it? Am I here? Is
that's
that
some other
news?
That's some other advertising.
Dom, this story breaking in just the last hour.
Let me just close that out because I can't find.
I think most people have probably seen this video because it has gone viral. Where they are physically, there's 3 officers, 3 cops, and they're physically pounding this guy's head into the concrete, kicking him, holding him down. They are just really like beating him. He's a homeless man, or apparently he seemed to be homeless, as someone has noted in the chat. And as you can see, also they're still at this particular time charging him. Basically, they're charging him for receiving an ass beating is what they're doing. So they have to have some excuse for what they did. But this goes into a class analysis of what happens with the police too. The prisons and jails are filled up not only with Black folks, but with poor and working class white folks and other folks of color, because those are the primary targets, right? It's folks of color, particularly Black folks, and poor and working class folks. That's who gets arrested. And for what? Like you said, property crimes, right? A lot of times. So it's small so-called nuisance crimes or even drug crimes. That's the thing that folks get punished for in this country, that they need to have police who are big as football players come out and jump on people and pound their head into the pavement.
Yeah, there was another, I was trying to pull it up, but I can't get it to the right, resize it so I can move it along, and it's a longer video. But on Instagram, I reposted somebody else's post. Rodney King, it is reminiscent of that, actually. And kind of with the distance and of the video shot too. But another video is going around about similar abuse of inmates. Another video is circulating of again multiple guards just pouncing on somebody who was defenseless and unprotected. But and then if they're not doing that, they are apparently continuing to plead guilty to lying on Breonna Taylor's search warrants. So if they're not, beating and killing, they're lying about what, as you just said, Kamau, gives them so-called justification for their actions. Former Louisville Metro Police Detective Kelly Hannah Goodlett pleaded guilty Tuesday to one count of conspiring to violate the civil rights of Breonna Taylor for helping falsify an affidavit for the search of her apartment that ended in her death in March 2020. Goodlett is expected to be a star witness at the trial of two other of her ex-colleagues, Joshua Janes and Kyle Meany, when they are tried on civil rights charges in connection with Taylor's death. A third ex-detective, Brett Hankinson, is also charged in a separate federal indictment. Goodlett, 35, admitted the charge before U.S. District Judge Rebecca Grady Jennings, with Taylor's mother, Tamika Palmer, among those present in the courtroom. She is the first officer to be convicted in connection with Taylor's death. Goodlett appeared Tuesday afternoon at the hearing inside the federal courthouse on West Broadway with attorney Brandon Marshall, with the former detective answering, "Yes, Your Honor," and "Yes, ma'am," as the judge mostly asked her if she understood her rights and the accusations against her. So
I think that the other part of these stories that don't come up enough is, so how come the judge isn't on trial? How come the judge isn't being rebuked? Because in these cases where these cops are going to get these warrants, they are signed off by a judge. And these so-called judges are supposed to be distinguishing between fact and fiction, right? They're supposed to be asking for what is the probable cause for issuing a warrant for you to search and or arrest somebody. But what happens in the system is that whatever the cop says, almost whatever they say, is accepted as fact. So there is no impartial review of evidence that's being presented by the police as to why they want a warrant, what they need a warrant for. It's almost just like it's just an empty piece of paper with a signature line, and no matter what, the judge signs off on it. If they did any kind of study, it would show that well over 95% of all warrants are signed off by judges in these kind of cases, because they do no kind of review whatsoever. They just, whatever the cop says, again, it just talks about how corrupt the system is. Whatever the cop says, the judge goes along with it, right? And then
Kamau, I just feel like what you're saying stands in stark contrast to the propaganda. I mean, the TV and films that I see all the time, where the police show up in the middle of the night to some judge's house or office, and the judge is sitting there in a robe or, all disheveled, looking over their glasses over it at the paperwork. And they're asking all those questions, and they're saying, "But why should I allow you to do this? And why should this be allowed to happen? And go get me some more evidence." That's like half of the first half of all these Law and Order shows is some judge saying, or the DA saying, "You got to get me more evidence. We have to follow by the book."
I know those are basically documentaries about how the policing system works.
Right, because at the end where Dick Wolf's name comes up, it says a documentary series by Dick Wolf
based on real life. You're right. That's what they do. It's always like, it's always like coming to his house late at night, waking him up. But in real life, what happens is that they have like 35 of them or 50 a day, and boom, 1, boom, 2, boom, 3. So they take no time whatsoever to look this over. And again, it just, all the truth goes on the cop side. There's like decide later on, because they don't want later on is for somebody to say, "You didn't sign some cop's warrant. How dare you look at the cop stuff too carefully?"
Right.
So so it's just corrupt from top to bottom, right? It's from the prosecutors. And obviously in this Rashad Brooks case, those are the investigators who are appointed to look over the evidence were basically prosecutors. Prosecutors who, again, will prosecute anything that they can get their hands on. They don't do any investigation to tell you what's true or not when it comes to most cases. All they do is investigate. It's like, can we make this stick? Is there enough? Is there enough that we can make stick? And then how do we make it stick? Who can we hem up in the interrogation room to get them to tell a different story? Does it make sense that a witness came in? What? They said they saw a black man? We got a black man. That's all we need. Let's move forward with it, right? So all this only when it comes to cops, right? Is there somehow this special investigation is needed? Is there like a pause for like a 2-year investigation before any issues of it, any indictments are made? A whole press conference around why they're not prosecuting, only in cop cases. Everybody else, for the most part, I always tell folks when I was practicing, it's the opposite of what you've been taught to believe, right? It's not you're innocent until proven guilty. Once they arrest you, they're treating you like you're guilty, and you got to work your way out the system the best way you can. Whether or not that's trial and you get acquitted, whether or not there's a plea deal, whether or not charges get dropped, even a conviction in terms of how much time you have to spend, but you're working your way out of a system. You're not there like some innocent by, unless you got the money, right? To hire the lawyers, to do all the background, to delay the cases, to make them work their asses off, where they decide just to settle for you. But if you ain't got that, for the most part, you're working your way through something in which, for the most part, they consider you guilty already, based on what they've already accumulated in terms of so-called evidence.
Well, but Kamal and everybody in the audience, community movement builders, I believe I see Black Alliance for Peace forces in the chat as usual. Everybody can relax. You can all stand down, take a vacation, because as Erica has provided for us in this story, it appears like we have somebody who is on the case for the people. So you can all relax because Sean King is here. Oh, but wait, he's under investigation by New Jersey.
For being a race impersonator? Is this a charge?
I don't know. Let me find out. I didn't even read the thing. The state of New Jersey has opened an investigation into transracial activist Sean King. Wait a minute. What does this mean?
What does that mean? What is a trans?
I don't know. I thought I missed something. I have to check the chat in a minute. Please break that down for me. What is that?
I've never heard that one before. What paper is this? Wait a minute. Let's go back. What paper is this?
Wait a minute. I don't even know. This is the SandraRose.com. So I don't know how.
Okay.
By Sandra Rose. I don't know. I'm gonna blame Erica for this one. So maybe this is Sandra Rose's editorializing. Transracial activist Sean King. According to tweets by journalist Ernest Owens on Tuesday, King is under investigation by New Jersey Office of the Attorney General, Division of Consumer Affairs, inquiring about issues involving purchases. According to Owens, the investigation focuses on a clothing line that sells garments featuring photos of King. Prices range from $65 for a t-shirt to $165 for a hoodie featuring photos of King smoking a cigarette. This almost sounds like an NFT scam. By the way, at blackpowermedia.org, that all that merch you can get is much less expensive and does not maybe unfortunately does not feature any of us smoking cigarettes.
Damn. So
wait.
According to Hiram, it says transracial people identify as different race than the one associated with their biological ancestry. So that's a thing?
Yes.
Transracial? Okay.
I just want to announce that I'm transracial. What's happening?
We already knew that. What the hell is going on?
I came to help you two transracial gentlemen. What's happening?
Now that's funny because I am accused of transracial behavior.
Well, that's okay, my man. I've already sent out for your DNA test from when we hooked up last year. I got both of y'all results. I'll be reading.
I shared mine already. It's on Instagram and everything. And what I noted last year that Ancestry.com increased my level of Jew from 49 to 50%.
I believe that because when that money's divvied out for Black Power Media, I noticed. I noticed the two of you cats up there.
Let's draw a line.
Nah.
Let's draw a line.
I drew it. Anyway,
so
Remix Morning Show.
That's funny.
So so that's officially recognized. Transracial, hilarious.
Yeah.
Hilarious. Of course, he would beg to differ because he would claim that he is, his dad
Was a light
black,
skin,
according to him, according to his mama, man, who had the affair, which the family has never acknowledged, which means his black father is somewhere out there who is never acknowledged. I mean, hey, if that was my kid and he was making millions off these fake T-shirt scams, I would be out there. Where's my cut, son? Where's my cut? I gave you your identity so that you could do all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Transracial.
So you're trying to say the man's not black? Is that what y'all saying, man? Because I mean,
I'm not saying that. Sandra Rose said it. That he's a transracial activist. So we were trying to figure out. I'll speak for myself. I was trying to figure out what transracial activist meant.
Yeah, I had never heard the term before this little scenario. So.
The kippa. What's a kippa? Is that the right word? I don't know what that is. Kippa. Are you trying to say like the Now this was, I did tell that I won't go. I have told the funny story before, but as a child, when I did have my hair, the yarmulke, I don't know if that's what you meant. My mother did try to put one on once, and it didn't, and she had to put a pin on it because my hair wouldn't hold it. And I've always thought that was like a sign. I was like, that's something. There was something symbolic. The afro wouldn't allow the yarmulke to stay on, so she had to put a pin to hold the joint in.
All put pins? I don't think that.
I don't know. That's just how I took it as a kid.
Well, it made you feel better, but as an adult, I think they all stick them pins.
Do they?
In Crown Heights, when you get on the bus with the Hasidim,
they do. Yeah.
You can see little pins, little bobby pins they got holding that in with the wavy hair thing.
Oh, because they have their long locks.
Yeah.
I don't think Jared would need a pin now, right?
No, not now. It would sit probably perfectly well right now.
Now we just slide off.
Now it just
put some glue on there or something.
I think you should embrace your culture. Just come on BPM one day with that. Just start rocking it in a top hat. What you think? Think it'll work? Probably not.
I don't know. Let's give it a shot. I've always said I wanted to have I said I wanted to push my chances of a right of return to Israel should things go wrong here. So maybe I should start rocking one every once in a while, just in case. No, I looked into it at one point. They actually have like a panel and they review your life as a Jew before they, and to see if you qualify. You can't just apparently claim it and run. I was like, damn it.
It ain't going to work for you, man.
Send one video in. I just send one video. Here's your good Jew. Bam.
Anyway, send in the. I was like, after Rachel Dolezal came out a couple of years ago, I was like, definitely. I went reaching for my DNA test. I was like, hey, man.
Nah, but you know what though, Rachel Dolezal, how do you say her name? Dolezal.
I don't know. Dolezal.
Yeah,
Dolezal.
Whatever the hell it is, whatever her real name is, and I forgot her African name. But the ill thing about it, I hate to say this, but in many cases, she's done more work for Black people than many Black people. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not promoting her. I'm not saluting her. I'm not saying that, white is right, but I'm just saying, like, some of these motherfuckers around here ain't been doing
Let's ask Ashanti about that next hour.
Hey, man,
Ashanti, you versus Rachel Dolezal. Who's done more for the people?
Stop that. Hey, but on the real, though, so Ashanti's going to be on today?
I mean, in my text messages to him, he seems up, he seems awake, he seems like he's coming on, so we shall see.
There was a lot of energy last night. He might be riding off of that, man.
I missed it. So that was the Black Man's
Build conversation with him and
which was a really good conversation. What I caught of it.
So him and Jihad was on there.
Yep.
So the Cody's was on there. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got an email about that. So it's crazy. I remember being at the UN one time, and I see a whole sea of white folks headed our way, and I'm like, man, who are all these white folks? And I looked up, and Ashanti was the leader of the anarchist revolution. I was like, God damn, Ashanti got everybody. They came around the corner like the warriors and shit. And I said, y'all with Ashanti, then I know y'all on the right side of things. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Yes.
All right. So if we can, we got a couple more. Erica has really laced us this morning. A couple more things. And so as I just led with the other story, CMB. Now that you're here, Kalanji, FTP, you all can stand down because Sean King is on top of everything.
God damn it.
And
you won, huh?
and yeah, we good now. Everybody can chill,
good.
take a break. Hiram in the chat. Everybody chill. You can. Everybody can retire, relax.
Hold it down, Hiram. Hold it down.
We got it. Sean got it. But
Sean got it.
But as a channel, as a platform, we at BPM can hang it up and chill. We are no longer necessary because Byron Allen has said that there is no need for a black news channel. There's just a need for a good news channel.
Was that what Byron Allen said?
Byron Allen has said so. Byron Allen aims to add more inclusion in the news and media industry through the purchase of Black News Channel. Media and entertainment mogul Byron Allen believes the news and media industry needs more inclusion and an issue he will address now that he is the owner of the Black News Channel. In July, Allen was approved by Florida bankruptcy court to buy BNC for $11 million. I just lost my place here. The whole thing just
Are you sure Byron Allen said that, or Mrs. Allen, his wife?
So I said no.
He said BNC is now part of Allen Media Group's company's portfolio of 12 television networks, including the Weather Channel. The acquisition also brought a change to the network's name. It now goes by the griot, the West African term for storyteller.
Right.
What the channel?
And here's that line in a recent interview with I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you finish it.
In a recent interview with CNN, Allen said that he wants the channel to be more inclusive and that he doesn't think there's a need for a black news channel, but rather a good news channel. He added that the griot will be more focused on lifestyle, entertainment, news, and sports.
Wait, but there's already a griot. And that's not, that right there is not the.
He might own that also.
Doesn't he own that? I thought.
Yeah. Right. But that spelling is not, griot is GRIOT, not GRIO. So he already stepping in the game on some bullshit. You know what I mean? So it's like griot, but it's pronounced griot. So that's
shout out to Professor Ayeli Bakari at the Africana Studies and Research Center when it was under the directorship of the late great Dr. James Turner, who told me that griot isn't the word that should be used anyway. That's what the French said. That's what the French were calling storytellers, and it should be hala, which is more appropriate to the West African and African tradition of Pan-African tradition of they're not stories, but of course oral renditions of histories, principles, science, philosophy, so on and so forth. So I would just add that to the list of faux pas since we're using French.
Another faux pas was it when the station was purchased by Byron Allen. Your boy Mark Lamont Hill came out and said this will be a special way, or this is going to be an important event for the larger Black community for the continuation of this channel, something to that effect. But when it was obvious that Byron Allen's only objective is to get something like this and try to turn it into a moneymaker. Don't care about Black people, Black struggle, Black lifestyle. He only cares about making something into a moneymaker and having himself projected as a mogul, as a Black billionaire, to be treated in a certain way and to be taught like flown around and act as if he's on some certain status. That's what he cares about. He don't give a damn about no Black community or Black lifestyle or Black way of this or Black way of that. I'm sure he's probably going to change the name from the Black News Channel to the griot or griot or the whatever it is in terms of pronunciation we want to have it, because his only purpose is to try to figure out as to how he can get an audience to get some ad revenue so that he can make some money off of this. And if we'll do it $11 million purchase or something like this, that's a steal, at least to start off with, right?
And Kamal, if you're not going to come out this morning, I'll come out for you. Okay. I'll just.
So I was saying his wife was the judge. I try to tell y'all, it was Mrs. Allen that made the decision. She's like, look, we don't need all Black everything. We don't have all Black children. We don't have all Black veterans. You know what I'm saying? So your Black ass can cut it out with this Black News Network, whatever you talk about. You better act like BET and be white, be like Viacom, and you'll make some money, Byron. You know what I'm saying? He didn't want to listen to us. So, you know, he listened to
I don't even know if she had to say that to Byron. Byron knew that already going in.
She probably gave him that whip appeal that
in fact,
it's probably the opposite. She's probably the one telling Byron, you should have some more black in your life. Byron.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Maybe keep it black. He's like, no, what are you, crazy?
She gonna leave him for one of the Wayans since she looked like one of the white chicks from the
like,
Wayans.
I don't mean.
So
yeah.
She was like, I thought I was going to be down with you and your people. Little I find out, you try to be down with mine. That's what. That's what she was like.
Confusion by any other name.
So continuation, the Black news channel has never been black. It wasn't black when it wasn't black owned, and it's not black when it's black owned.
I mean, who was the blackest anchor that was on there? I mean, who was the blackest person that was on there?
I mean, they had Mark. They had a lot of
black hosts. All the hosts were black, and the faces were black online when it was owned by an Indian guy.
Yeah.
But now that it's going to be owned by a black dude, of course, his inclination is to make sure that it's not going to be all black, because he's like, this is how I'm going to make my money back.
Okay. So how so with that, right? Was that Bubblehead on that show too, or what? The dude Ascot, was he on BNC or no?
No.
I don't think so. No, he was on another
Roland
channel.
has his own entity and his own entree to white advertisers. So he doesn't, he didn't need.
I don't need you. I don't need you Indians or you Negroes that want to be whites.
He's like, I
have
got
my own Ascot.
line.
That's my Ascot.
He's applauding its downfall every second.
Yes.
He's like, another miscue, bam, there you go. I got more audience coming towards me or something like that.
No, in fact, a couple weeks ago, I even did a little segment on it where we played some of the video where Roland was talking about the downfall and how he had basically was chastising them for not listening to his own advice. And it was in that, because he was saying, you know, basically you all, you know, I forgot the details, but he broke down, you know, you didn't do what I told you should have done, and you were trying to pay people too much money. That was part of his concern. He was saying, you know, I pay people in the 40s and the 50s. You were trying to pay people in the 80s, 90s, and 100s when you don't have that level of revenue.
Right, but Mark Lamont Hill said they wasn't getting their last check. They said it was on pause for a while after they got.
Well, that was Roland Martin's point, that BNC didn't have the revenue to make those salaries, and should have been paying people at a more realistic rate, like he was. That was on the set of Roland's advice, and then of course he makes a lot of, you know, other mistakes about his analysis that we went through there, but that was part of his point. He was chastising them. He was saying,
so this is why we can never end BPM, just because of Roland, because if we end BPM
out of spite, we're gonna keep it going.
It's just because it's black ass. So thank you Ascot wearing mascot. It's because of you that BPM will continue to live. He came out the gate trying to kick us, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, damn. Like, damn, Roland. We
collectively took some shots at Roland, but his thing was
thing was to slap me, so you know what I'm saying. You got out of control with that. So
well, I mean, his thing was to point at the view numbers and to laugh at our view numbers. And you know, I just tried to point out, but you had like a 30-40 year head start on commercial television. You know what I'm saying? Like you didn't just pop up out of nowhere or pop up out of a grassroots activist community and start doing a YouTube show. You've been on CNN and BET your whole life. Yes, it's like
lying for you.
But anyway, you know.
Anyway, leave it alone, man.
But I have always appreciated, even honestly, even from when I was doing pirate radio, I would, or mixtape radio, I would prefer a small and thoughtful audience than to a large disaggregate capitalist fantasy chasing, you know, audience like that. So frankly, I'm good. Like I would like us to grow, obviously, but relatively speaking, I'm very good with what we're doing.
I mean, and I agree with you, man, because it's more intimate. You know what I mean? And you kind of have control over what's going on to an extent. And we have our loyal remixers who will hop in the chat and say whatever so the hell's on their mind whenever they feel like it. You know what I mean? So it's beautiful.
And when I do my thing, or better yet, when Jackie has Linwood Tawhid on her show, or when we have, in other words, the collective economic analysis that we have here is not sponsored by a private equity group. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, so shout out to the Bloom. Appreciate you.
And when we do grow, we want to grow with the same politics, right? Most importantly, it's like we're going to grow, but we're going to grow with those politics. So people are going to be coming over to us because of the politics, right? Once people get it in their mind that all these commercial stations ain't teaching you shit, ain't trying to look out for you, ain't got your interest at heart, that's going to make them come over here where they can start learning about some real stuff, some real world stuff, and get involved in their community. That's the goal.
Right on.
Manny, now, we appreciate you recognize how young we are. But go ahead, keep it moving, though.
Late 20-somethings.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, anyway, let's grab a couple more of these before we get to our special guest. One says specifically if Jackie is around, so I'm gonna skip that one because Jackie's not here. And
shout out to Jackie.
Why should we all look less
muddled to her analysis that she can give?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, somebody asked me about crypto on an interview the other day. I said I am not Dr. Jed Ball. But anyway, go ahead, brother.
Anyway, I appreciate that. And anyway, North Carolina Republican, children below 5th grade shouldn't be taught science or history in school. I agree. These children are too damn smart as it is. Let's slow down this level of intelligence. Children in America just too smart. Let's slow it down a little bit. On Monday, WRAL reported that North Carolina Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, the highest ranking Republican in the state, called for eliminating science and history classes from elementary schools. Is this him here? This is him?
Oh, my Lord.
This is Mark Robinson?
I don't know what he looks like. I've never seen.
You talking about the black dude?
That's what it looks like it's saying here. North Carolina Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, right?
So he's don't saying, teach history and science.
No, not to 5th grade, not to elementary schools. What do they need history and science in 5th grade for?
Yep,
in his memoir, we are the majority, the life and passions of a patriot. Good God. According to reporter Brian Anderson, Robinson is dropping more hints about a potential run for governor in 2024. And if elected, he says he'd work to keep science and history out of some elementary. That sounds spooky.
You
know what you mean by some.
We should teach custodial skills.
Hide in the motherfucker.
He's like, we should teach custodial skills.
Niggas didn't know history.
With all respect to Kim Kalaji, we can't have the weed get negatively blamed for this behavior. You can't put the.
I didn't say he's high of weed.
He's high, right?
He's high of his own supply.
Okay.
I mean, wait, but he said he's running for governor, so that makes sense because what he's saying here, ultimately, he's like, look, I know that a lot of y'all talking about we don't need what's the joint in the schools they're talking about now, and I'm kind of on the other side right now. Where they don't want to teach us about history. They don't want to teach their children about
the black history stuff, the legal
critical race theory.
Critical race theory. None of us. We that's how much we care.
Collectively, the three of us.
I mean, people would take to come up with CRT. But anyway, I think that this is his version. He's like, don't teach them about history because they gonna know that, whatever. So I think maybe that's the move that he's trying to bust.
Well, he also wants to eliminate the State Board of Education and abortion and work to prevent transgender people from serving in the military.
Oh yeah, he's definitely not gonna make it.
Hey, I think that's fair though. If you're going to abuse a group of people, they should not also then be forced or allowed to serve in war. So I think that's fair. You know what I'm saying? If you're not going to be equal in society, then you can't go to war. God damn it.
I look forward to when they bring back Jim Crow and there's no more serving in the military. I was like, what? It's like, can that one be first? Can you do that one?
Because if they initiate a draft, I want to find out how far down the line of trans do you have to go to qualify to not serve? You know what I'm saying? Like no disrespect to the trans community, but I might start checking off some boxes when they hit that draft card again. You know what I'm saying? Like how far down my knees don't work. You know what I'm saying?
They're not letting your black ass back in the military. You went fool me once. What your boy George Bush say? Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on my mama.
Get fooled again.
Fool me 3 times. I'm just a fool.
Congratulations.
Throw a shoe at me. Anyway.
No, I like my hatred consistent. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate him. Like no abortion, like you can't no abortions. He was like end all abortion, no boards, no education, no trans in the military. I like that. That's
he about to come with colored water fountains and everything. Huh?
all of that.
He probably
let's
will,
be consistent.
If he gets the white vote, if it gets his white right-wing vote, then he probably will. I don't think it doesn't sound like this dude's got too many barriers he won't cross.
Right.
Hiram, I will remind you, good brother, it was not I who was referred to as an elder
Hiram ain't
last
coming
night.
out like that.
No. We have to remind Hiram that last night, Kalonji, the Brothers of Black Men Build referred to him as their elder.
Hiram is an elder.
Not Jihad, not Ashanti,
listen,
but Hiram.
Hiram, 160 years old in dog years. Listen, Hiram, I don't know why you walk around track like you ain't elderly up there trying to talk trash about us. You know what I'm saying? I know you in real life. I know you from New Haven, and I know what y'all do out there. Anyway.
Okay, you're the elder that they called on last night, even as Baba's Jihad and Ashanti were on the screen. So I just want to remind Hiram. They called Hiram the elder.
They said Hiram the grandmaster.
That
coming out here
that
talking
greasing
about
formula he probably uses.
You know what I'm saying? That's him.
I would take a quick break and then come back. I think we got our special guest is ready to come on. We're gonna come back in 1 minute, less than that, with our special guest Ashanti Alston, who has made it. As long as his camera's on, I'm just hoping
Ashanti's made it.
Sound. He got the sound quality on and everything else.
So let me do it this way. Let me handle this. So because we don't have an ear doctor, so let's bring an ear doctor in and then get a proper transition to bring in our special guest and come right back here to Remix Morning Show, Black Power Media. Don't go anywhere, everybody.
Let me show these suckers how to ball out here. Oh man, let me get this together here. Oh, layup. Oh no. Shot. Oh, three. Oh, it's like Brick City out here. Mid-range. Oh my goodness, I can't buy a bucket out here. I missed the whole damn basket. Oh my goodness. What's going on, man? My game is looking trash. Oh, here we go. Black Power Media shirt. Now we cooking. Tree. I'm taking on 3 of y'all with these right here. Between the legs. Oh my goodness. Behind the back. Layup. Oh, did he just do a reverse? He is in beast mode out here. I ain't got to look. It's falling. Oh my goodness. This guy is going 3, 2, 1. Kobe. Nice. Black Power Media, baby. Nice. Empower yourself. Go get you some of that Black Power Media again. Right here at blackpowermedia.org. Yeah.
What time?
I don't know what happened. My bad.
Shanti, you're on the air. So if you're talking to somebody
on the air, Shanti, welcome.
Yeah,
sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
Look what the Panther drug in. What's happening?
Oh, I got
everybody.
I got one of my comrades here.
He's sitting off to the side. Your internet, I knew. See, when you go on Black Man Build,
you're cutting out, man. I can't get the voice.
You're gonna blame it on us. It's something about your internet. I don't know what's going on over there.
Well, let's back it up a little bit. So I want to make sure.
No. So he said his mic.
Yeah, I muted him for a second. Go ahead, come out.
Yeah. So I want to make sure everybody gets the proper folks that he gets a proper introduction, because having Ashanti Alston on, all jokes aside, is really, really, really important, and something that you are, as long as of course his internet's working, that you are in for a treat in terms of who this brother is. He is a veteran Black Panther Party member, obviously a former political prisoner, a member of the Black Liberation Army. Ashanti Alston, who now identifies as an anarchist Panther, has been part of the movement for well over, at this stage in his life, 45, maybe even 50 years. And has been organizing across the country. He particularly was located in New York for a long time, where I had the pleasure of getting to know him and work with him. And it was really important to try to figure out how we can get this brother on. So let's give it another shot with the internet connection. Ashanti, are you there? Can you hear us? Nope. Ashanti, say a couple of words. I think he's lagging. Yeah. See, the Black Man Build thing, he worked perfectly for him. He was on and good.
I'm telling you, I'm going to blame StreamYard, because their thing was on Zoom last night and worked perfectly. This I think StreamYard needs to step its game up for all this live streaming that they get, you know. And it is a flaw that they don't have their own independent platform and they have to stream through a browser. I think that's the biggest problem. But anyway,
maybe we can see if we can get them on Ethernet and have them log back in. You want to try that? Okay.
All right.
So,
Howard, are you in communication with them? Come out.
Yeah, I tell them to try to log back in, right? We can continue with the conversation
because I do agree with what Kamau has said. I mean, I think Ashanti is. I'm very excited to have him join the platform. And his work is very important. His analysis is very important today, and that of his late wife Safia Bakari. You know.
Made a transition today. Matter of fact, this is the anniversary.
Oh, really?
Right? Yes,
oh, wow! I didn't remember that. Okay, right on.
Yes, 24th.
So yeah, I mean, this is just an important person to have on and in history to remember. So or be reminded of. So I hope we can work this out for sure.
So maybe if he has a Ethernet cord, he can plug it in because that may be the issue. But yeah, I agree definitely. You know, he's one of those brothers that we would say unsung heroes. There's so many brothers and sisters that put in serious work that just didn't get that don't get the recognition or enough ears, enough microphone time to hear the analysis. And I think that sometimes folks get caught up in whatever's popular. You know what I'm saying? Right. I guess that's just all the way across the board in whatever field. Right. You know, so definitely, and I agree, Hiram, definitely read The War Before by
Sophia absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, it's one of those that I keep. Like there's always a few that no matter where I'm at in the house,
necessary.
You know, that I keep like right on by. Like there's a whole bunch I can't get to right now, but that one is I always keep, you know, nearby. And if we could, I definitely want to hear from Ashanti on this. But if we have a few minutes that we need to quote unquote kill, I would love to hear either or both of you talk about your experiences with Ashanti and Safia, having never met either one of them personally myself. I would love to hear more of that. And then, by the way, Kamau, we do have a good suggestion in the chat that maybe he call in without video, and we just get him on audio. But anyway, but yeah, Kalanji, Kamau, anybody, either of you got the mind space to talk a little bit about that?
We can start with Kamau since he's a native New Yorker. How about that?
Although I know he's trying to reach Ashanti, so I don't know if anyway. Go ahead.
I'm good. I mean, I told him to sign off and sign back on, and let's see if that works. And then we can see about killing the camera if the audio does not improve when he comes back on. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, I you know, as part of New York organizing and activism, I met Safia, and obviously she was still active and still a very important touch point for a lot of the veteran Panthers. And this was in the 90s. And you can tell then even that she was somebody who was really important to movement organizing and setting direction for Panthers, and how folks fell in line when she came around, and she would do her thing or whatever like that. So working with her was sort of a tremendous asset in terms of, and I don't think I even knew, you know, just as sort of somebody who's maybe freshly coming into the movement, like her past relationship with Ashanti. I just knew her as the sister who was a Panther and all the rest of it. And so, yeah, so it was a great pleasure to work with her during the time period that we got to. She obviously got sick later on and had to stop working. And part of it too, you know, part of that history, again, that maybe Ashanti can talk about. And one of the reasons why, you know, we started the Panther Fund was because even during that time, you know, these folks were people who were dedicated radicals and revolutionaries. And so streams of income weren't always as available to them as we wish they could have been. And so, you know, these are folks who dedicated their lives to doing certain actions and doing certain kinds of work. So she was somebody who, you know, like a lot of these folks needed the support of outside folks who were also dedicated to movement, just as a way to make sure that she could survive sometimes. So, so she was a special sister who did a lot of great work. Ashanti, I see you're back. Can you unmute and let's see if we can hear you?
How you doing?
Unmute.
No, you're unmuted.
You're unmuted now.
Okay, can you hear me?
You good to go, man.
Unmute.
Why'd you mute yourself again?
Man. Now I can't unmute him. He has to unmute himself now.
You got to unmute yourself again. And after you unmute yourself, don't touch no more buttons, Ashanti. You got it. You have to unmute it one more time.
Remember, the Panthers were good at pulling triggers, not at pushing buttons. That's it. Let me start there or whatever. So you're on mute, Ashanti.
Tell me you got it. Just undo it one more time.
There you go. I think you're off. Say something, Ashanti. Oh no, he can't. You don't even know what he's doing right now.
Hit the unmute button one more time.
And by the way, Ajamu, I think you do know why.
Got to come on.
There you go.
You good. You good. No, you went back off. Hit it one more time.
There you go.
Don't touch it no more.
Okay, can you hear me? You can hear me now?
Yeah. You good to go. Yes.
We can hear you fine.
No.
We have to think maybe you have to turn off your I asked if you
no, right?
We hear you.
Let's see what he
said. No, we can hear you. I think he has a delay with the internet. So I think we're gonna have to try to do this again at some point.
Okay. We hear you, Ashanti.
I didn't touch anything.
Are you good now? We said that 10 minutes ago. You got a delay over there.
They're hearing you now. You can hear me.
Yes. Yes.
No, it is a delay.
Okay.
It's probably not gonna work. Ashanti, can you turn your do not
all right, if you can hear me, tell me what you
Yeah. If you have an Ethernet
turn the
cord,
camera off.
Yeah, try that.
Yeah, try that.
See if we can save some bandwidth. Don't mess that up too.
All right, let me see. Let's see if we can give him a second to get that together.
No doubt. Also, while you talk about Mama Sophia, who actually, when you talk about someone who kept political prisoners in the forefront, that's a very important component. And I also want to shout out Wanda as well, her daughter who made her transition a few years ago. Shanti, you back again?
Can you hear us?
Okay.
No, I just think there's going to be a delay. I think we probably should schedule some other time and maybe do a recording on Zoom or something.
You can hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you, but it's delayed. So at least the people got to see your face.
So maybe if we could do like an Ethernet cord or something like that, and we could make it happen.
Or or try just with the audio or something like that. Or again, I mean, to the point, I get that it's frustrating this morning, but to the point of the platform, we exist for these conversations, these folks to come through on a regular basis. So we expect that this will get worked out eventually. I do want to say, just as a little quick inspiration, like we need to have these conversations, because without being able to talk to the Ashantis and the Jihads and the Darubas, etc., we're left with this. With Herschel Walker saying, we have enough trees.
I think Herschel Walker been smoking too many trees.
Or not enough.
Yeah.
He reiterated his
opposition. Football, man. You know what I'm saying? They need to ban the NFL, man. This is and college football, because this is like, you get hit in your head too many times, you turn into Herschel Walker, man. Herschel Walker's lost all of his marbles. Don't we have?
He said there's too much money going to trees, Kalanji. They continue to try to fool you like they're helping you out.
Wait. Too much money going to trees?
That's what he said. He's arguing that too much money.
Where does paper money come from? Elevators? Dude lost all his mind, man.
They continue to try to fool you like like they're helping you out, but they're not. They're not helping. They're helping you out because a lot of money, it's going to trees, Walker said, according to a clip from his remarks. This is why he doesn't allow video anymore into a lot of his remarks, like cameras and the media, because they know he's going to say something stupid.
And he's going to be a meme. Yeah. So come out.
Don't we have
living in
enough
Georgia,
trees?
living in Georgia, in Atlanta, particularly the most forested city in America, with all the damn trees getting cut down to build condos and communities and all the deer and shit running in the road and all the animals that used to have some type of habitat. And he's straight out of Georgia. That's the crazy shit about it. He's representing Georgia, where, I mean, they're already doing away with trees on a high level. And it's like, man, this dude right here, I got a feeling he's gonna mess around and win, because I think that
my bad. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, even though the numbers look the way they are, the way they do, it reminds me of the whole Trump thing, because we were laughing the whole time Trump was running. It was like, he'll never win. He'll never make it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure folks was laughing at Ronald Reagan. You know what I'm saying? And this is like, this is like a big joke, a real big joke. I think Rodman should run for president, man. I mean, let's just go all the way out. You know, this is my thought. That might be
but I also have gone all the way out.
Yeah. Well.
Go ahead, Jared. What?
I also admit some fascination at the video clip that was playing on that story there. So because Brianna Joy Gray, it looked like, was co-hosting Rising, the show from the Hill, which I thought Cigar and Crystal Ball left because it was too corporate. So they started their own show, which is connected with Status Quo now, which is connected with Kim Brown now.
Where's he going with this?
I don't know where I'm going. I thought Brianna was left. I don't know. I just thought Brianna was left of the Hill, I thought she was left of the Hill in Rising, as was said to be at the time Cigar and Crystal Ball. I haven't watched any of these folks' platforms in a while, so I may be just off on this. I just was caught my attention on that video clip with seeing Brianna there.
So how did Kim get involved? I'm confused about,
because Kim is connected. She's co-hosting. I heard she announced here a couple days ago. I thought that she's co-hosting stuff with Status Quo.
Okay.
And Jordan Sheridan, who had linked up a deal with Crystal and Cigar, with some journalism reporting relationship.
Okay.
Anyway, I don't know. I just thought, anyway, I was just surprised, I think, to see Brianna there. That's all. But maybe I'm not caught up with all the movement and all the stuff. I just thought that was,
I hardly know who's on our platform right now. I don't even have time to find these numbers. Yeah. Anyway,
all right. So that was interesting. But yeah, that's why. But
go ahead.
Go ahead, come out.
I was just getting back to Herschel real quick. That Kalaji's comment about him potentially winning. I agree with you. I wouldn't be shocked by the fact that if he came out winning, like you said, the poll numbers or whatever. But I mean, it shows that, obviously, and again, he's not the first case of this, but Republicans just don't care. Well, people who vote that way just don't care about how smart you may be or whatever like that. If you check some boxes on some issues, that's all they care about at this particular stage. And those issues are, the same thing for that. The guy who's the lieutenant governor of North Carolina, if you're whether you're black or not, if you show yourself to be anti-black, anti-environment, pro-police, pro-Trump, there's an avenue for you in the Republican Party. That maybe it wasn't as open as it was before there, but now it's completely open for you to jump in and do whatever you want to do and potentially win some office space. And that's all these folks care about. They're going to win their office space. They'll do whatever they say. Don't give a freak about the environment or anything like that. So,
Yeah. Well.
Anyway, so that's why we need to continue to hear from the Ashantis and folks, because the media landscape is a mess, and they're happy to find plenty of people who,
One of the great things Ashanti was talking about the other night, Ashanti and Jia, was, they were just, they were talking about how, I wanted to bring it up with them when you came on, because someone had asked, I think Philip had asked them, Philip Agnew had asked them about whether or not their defense committees were as prominent or important then as they are now. And, they both chuckled and was like, defense committees, what defense committees? Like for them, defense committees was like, was like they had a lawyer telling that lawyer to bring something in to help them get out, right? So they didn't care about the legal case per se. They were like, when they were in, they were always planning escapes. They, literally to think about how do we get out of here? The mentality was, we were going to bust out, but during the time we were here, we were going to organize with the people that we were with. And they, day to day, they were talking about how they were filled, all of their activities was filled with organizing for the people. And again, they emphasized no nonprofit grants, none of that kind of stuff. It was all based on their activities and their action and their orientation. And that was what was important. And then something else that Ashanti said is, anybody who knows Ashanti, he publicly talks about this, and we would brought this up with them, is that he does suffer somewhat from depression at this particular stage. He said during his time with the Panthers and movement building, he never suffered from depression. That was not something that was sort of akin to him and what he was doing, because and again, not in some Pollyannic way, but because they were always organizing and doing work for the people, that personality or emotionally speaking, that's what they were geared on and doing. So again, just talking to somebody like an Ashanti to speak about what movement building really was for them during that time period, as we can compare to what happens now, it's all, in a lot of ways, it's like night and day. Those folks literally were doing things, again, that we would not even dream about being capable of doing, but it was just part of their everyday analysis, stuff like that.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
We often talk about and sometimes joke about and often sometimes serious about that movement work can induce a need for therapy, but the reality in my experience has largely been it is therapeutic. So I absolutely co-sign whatever.
No, I absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, go ahead. I'm cool.
No, that's it. Go ahead, finish that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was just gonna say, it's like, to me, it's always, I for years I thought that depression was part of movement. You know what I'm saying? I thought that this is what comes with war, because I couldn't understand or imagine that if you were actively engaged in our people's liberation and you live, breathe, and invest your soul into this, it's like, how can you not be depressed at the results and everything that's going on? There's times for joy and all of that, but I think that anybody that, I think we all need therapy as far as African people in America, period. But if you're involved in this type of work and you are day in and day out, you're seeing these stats and you're seeing these numbers and you're feeling the direct impact of imperialism and colonialism, it seems like that it's damn near normal, unfortunately. And it's not to, you get around people who have mastered, quote unquote, self-care. You know what I'm saying? Who are into yoga and a lot of shit. I mean, I ain't gonna front. I used to laugh at, catch somebody going to do some yoga. I'm like, man, get your yoga mat ass up out of here while we trying to bust these shots. But it's necessary. A lot of this stuff is necessary because you're talking about this is how it is. For me, I've made efforts to try to stop or be forced to stop, being involved in this type of work. And it's in your soul when this is what you do. It's in your spirit, it's in your heart, it's in your blood. So like I believe you just said that, to a degree, this is therapy. To be able to resist is a form of therapy for me. You know what I'm saying? Because I gotta no, I'm not accepting you motherfuckers stomping us out anymore. I'm not accepting what you did to Emmett Till. I'm not accepting what you did to Tamir Rice. This is what it is. This is how it is. But yeah, I think that we all you know, my man Ekendayo has a song. He said, "The world is sick. We need therapy." I agree. The entire world, the entire planet. This is I mean, the way we operate, our relationship to the planet itself is a sick situation. You know what I'm saying? We're dealing with sick individuals taking us out. Yeah, on the real.
The Hiram mentioned it in one of the comments he made, but Jihad said a couple things that I thought were also
Elder Hirams. Excuse me, let me correct you.
Elder Hiram, right? Let me put respect on his name. Elder Hiram,
the elder's name.
Said, you know, remind me that Jihad said two more things that I thought were really important. One, he did say they talked about, first of all, I did appreciate they talked about the importance of materialism, Mao, Marx, Leninism to Black struggle. Ashanti talked about the importance of that Black radical anarchism to this. So I appreciated hearing them talk a little bit about that. But Jihad also said something that I really wanted him to follow up on and would love to build with him and others on more. A point that I know I've been criticized for very recently, even on this platform, which is that we don't need money to organize. Now I know Kamal, you had a stylized, a nuanced pushback when I brought that up the other day, but when Jihad said, for instance, he said when we came out and people were saying, now that you're out of prison, you can give back to the community. He was saying, no. I never took anything from the community. We didn't get locked up because we were taking from the community. We were giving to the community, and that's why we got locked up. And now we're back to continue that work. And then he said something along those lines, similarly about the nonprofit issue and not needing all that, a grant and funding, all that kind of stuff. And that's sort of the point I'm getting at, that like we can't be constantly pushed into that corner of we got to first get all of our money right and get our investments right before we can engage the struggle, because that's not the perspective of those who did it at the highest level.
I completely agree with you. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think my only thing was you have to have some resources, obviously, for different things, but I completely agree. It's like you don't start your work, you don't organize because you think if you're organizing around a theory or an idea about Black liberation or revolutionary struggle, your first starts cannot be like, how do I get this work funded, right? Once you're thinking about how I get this work funded, as opposed to what is the work I'm going to do, then you've already lost, right? And it doesn't. And again, we're in these different time periods, which obviously we're in it for a reason. Like I say this often now, where we're at for a reason, and this goes back to what we talked about earlier around the defeat of a Black liberation struggle, which makes our political prisoners have to change what they stood for in order to get out, at least publicly say that they don't, that that it was the times, they renounced violence, they no longer consider themselves freedom fighters, all those things that folks have now said in order to get out, which I don't believe in their heart that they really believe, and that some of that is backed up by the work they continue to do. But it's like after 40 years in prison, they're looking to get out, right? And no one should begrudge them for that. I think that same application of like how the strength of the state and what the state has done to destroy the movement also apply to why we are in this mindset, all of us, right? Of like where we're going to look for that next dime to keep this work going, because that next dime not only feeds the work, it feeds us, it feeds other people. People don't do the work as much these days as they did in even 25 years ago when I was a young organizer. Like even the amount of time that we spent, when I started organizing, obviously there were grants and stuff like out there, but we didn't start organizing thinking we were going to get grants and foundation things. It was like people coming out their pocket, right? It was like, what you got, right? And that's how we put together programs. That's how we made our copies. That's how we hit somebody off to do something or whatever like that. But obviously it was there, but then it slowly built up to the place now where it's a monster of a machine, where people, even when they realize it, right? Even when they realize it, we all feel, including me, I'm not discounting myself, that we have to do a little bit of that game playing in order to be able to create, because Jihad also talked about to create the institutions that we want to build, right? The institutions that make people who are everyday folks now look at us and say, oh, there's a possibility because you guys have built something that's an alternative that I can see, feel, touch, go to. And again, outside different politics, but outside the nation or the Black church, those things don't really exist in radical circles, right? So we don't have circles that have that. Yeah.
Let me just show where I think where we're led intentionally when people are encouraged to this idea that we need money to get our stuff right, because then we hear these kinds of messages from our nominally brightest.
Man, bro, so let me tell you what had went down.
Artists.
I was 2 bands away from getting bro a whole barbershop, bro. Oh my mama, bro. He not gonna call my phone talking about I just got paid. I looked at the phone. You just got paid. What? Man, where the dice at? I'm ready to shoot. We can roll. Last time I shot with him, 1,300 in my pocket. Easy.
Off top.
Off top. Easy.
So what happened?
What happened? Man, peanut is what happened. Had me hot on my mama, hot. 7, 7, 7, 7. Back to back to back to back. Bro, I was mad. He was all in my bag, in my pockets, in my whole duffy. I was ready to get out.
Basically what he is saying, he saved up his money to get a local barbershop. He then made a friendly business wager with Peanut in hopes to secure more money for his business, but eventually losing it all with one roll of the dice. Ray, what you think?
I think volatility is his problem, and I don't think he understands how to compound his talent and how to compound his money. What I mean is, if you just take big bets like that, you'll blow it all. You should invest in yourself, man, and then you learn more, and then when you learn more, you also make more money, and it compounds. You could have 2 barbershops, you could have 10 businesses.
10.
If you know how to compound.
Basically, bro, what he's saying is slow money wins the race. You can still have a big upside even if you don't throw all your chips in the bag. Invest in yourself. Leave them dice alone. You don't need to invest in the dice. That's gonna ruin everything. Spread your money out. Let it build for yourself and work gradually, slowly. Anybody that's ever made a lot of money didn't make it fast. You feel me?
Feel you.
Off top. PG Lane.
For some reason, this ad just pissed me off very bad. I think that this is when folks confuse artists with quote unquote freedom fighters, because someone has some quote unquote conscious lyrics or you like their flow or their delivery or whatever, then that means that you can go to them for political advice, and that doesn't make sense at all. Back to skipping past this dumbass commercial, going back to what you all were talking about, one of the things that Kwame Ture talked about was folks are always talking about, I want to help my people, but I got to go get the money. You know what I'm saying? And then after I get the money, then I help my people. He said that you get so caught up, and I'm paraphrasing, in trying to get the money that eventually you'll betray the people because it'll be all about the money. It's crazy. To Kamal's point, I didn't know that there were organizations, and this is to my own naivety and to Ricky Ryan's point, something she just pushed out about the Curb Fest thing. Our organization, FTP, for years, we were doing what Kamal was talking about. Just, I got $1 on it, what you got. You know what I'm saying? And making it happen. I think part of the issue right now is technology as well, because you don't have that day-to-day organizing is void. You know what I mean? It's not a lot of folks out there going out there with propaganda and talking to the people. And without that, it separates the humanity. You know what I'm saying? It splits it in half, because you can't feel, no matter how many videos you watch, no matter how many Facebook friends and tweets you read, it's not the same as being on the scene. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I think that, to me, it's so dangerous, and it's sad to see that so many of us have accepted being behind this screen or behind the monitor, opposed to being out in the community for real and organizing on a grassroots level without the cameras, without the shout outs, without the applause, just actually getting to know the community. And I ask organizers all the time, how many of the people that you serve do you know personally? How many of these people know you? how many can say, oh, that's such and such from whatever, whatever. One of the things we used to do when we was doing the Feed the People program regularly was we would go out feed the people, but then later on, I might stop through on the way somewhere else and go kick it with the brothers and sisters under the bridge. I might come through with some bottles. We have some drinks or whatever, and we just talking for hours, so much so that I'm late for where I was supposed to be going because of the fact that I'm back to reality. And that reality right there, when the police come or any other situations, any issues, they had our back. You understand what I'm saying? Because there was a genuine relationship. You know what I mean? There was a genuine relationship. I knew who died. I knew who's this. My daughter just got married. This one just happened, so on and so forth. And it would be a political education situation as well, because they knew that when these quote unquote missionaries, these churches and these white folks come on to build up their nonprofits and shit, they knew the difference between the love and shit that was just, for show. So I think that we need to take that back. I think that we all should have our children now organized. They need to see the homeless. They need to see what the community looks like, what it feels like, just taking a trip through the ghetto. You know what I'm saying? To get a better understanding of where we need to go.
Hey, no question. And while I appreciate the desire to push past quickly that commercial, I actually think it's beyond the jokes important.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to diss you. It wasn't a diss towards you.
No, I know you weren't. No, I get your point.
I would have threw both of them off the balcony probably, but anyway, go ahead.
But that's sort of my point. That I think that is that commercial to me perfectly symbolizes why so much of our analysis is a mess, and why so much of the work, Kalonji, that you're just describing meets barriers and struggles from within the community, because so much of that messaging, which purports to be from the most Black and radical and talented segments of our community, is really, as that camera pulls back, white splaining, as I think Big Tio called it. That's the point. And so much of what passes for radical analysis on YouTube and elsewhere is again, if the camera were to pull back another few we would see the white business influence and ad revenue and investment advice that is ultimately behind it. And then because it's presented as a Kendrick, there's going to be cats that are going to, that directly, consciously, indirectly, unconsciously, we don't know. But it's one way or another, when you, Kalonji, Kamau, or even to a lesser extent, I show up on the block with whatever work we're doing, they're going to be thinking, I don't need that. Kendrick said it's going to be all right. And he said, I just need to compound and diversify. So
and my question is about the money, and it's these days it's all about for everyday people. It's and again, just hitting back to that time period, because I think that time period is so important to any analysis we have of what's happening today. Is how black power was moved from a radical slogan and interpreted as Black capitalism, right? And then the authorities they kind of figured it all out in the sense of like, what we need to make it's all about money and influence and the projection of power without really having it. That's what they're going to give to the lower classes. That's what they're going to give to the Black community that's looking for power. We're going to kill leadership, destroy organizations, and in its place, leave in this theme of, if you want power, what that means is that you got to own a business. What that means is that you got to be able to have a job that works for this capitalist entity, and that somehow will give you some dignity and some strength and increase your ego size. I mean, what was part of the Curtis report, right, from Moynihan back in the day, was around what was happening in the Black family and how the Black man needed jobs in order to feel important. And that was a counter to the radicalism that was happening in the streets. That was their prognosis for how to do for how to improve our community. And again, the larger white capitalist structure, particularly the liberal side of it, created a whole infrastructure around that, right? The Ford Foundations, the Rockefeller Foundations, all that they did to supply money to Black radical projects as they de-radicalized, as they brought it back into trying to control systems of rebellion and move those systems of rebellion to be part of, or an appendage of a liberal establishment. So you want to control your schools? Well, we're not going to let that happen. But let's talk about the school board, which you can have 3 of 9 members on. And so now you have a voice. And shouldn't you be happy with that? When we do the curriculum, we're going to throw in that 1 week of Black history. Shouldn't you be happy with that? We're going to give you these artists, right? And and you know, love the Public Enemy and the rest of it. But even when you look at the Public Enemies of like, what was the old, what they were signed to CBS Records, right? They were signed to Columbia, if I'm not mistaken. When you're assigned to labels like that, that means that they know how to eat your message and spit it back out. So yeah, you get that radical message. They can mention Asada, they can talk about like power and all the rest of it. But at the end of the day, they got these contracts too. And they know how far they're gonna step. And when they step too far, then that's the end of them, right? Well, what happened when my man said something, whether or not I agreed with what he was harping on or not, but he said something about like the Jewish folks here or whatever like that. It was the end of Public Enemy as a mainstream cultural feature, right? It was like, we're gonna cut that off. Let's get back into some gangster rap. Let's get back to this money deal. So I just think, like, you know, there's a twist where everything now is about, like, you know, they not only just the financial literacy, but if your finances are somehow good, that means you are powerful, and that means you are smart. And if you're not rich, then somehow that means you failed and that you are dumb, and then you should not be listened to. And for me, it's almost like this dichotomy of how much money is the center point of what power means today, in terms of when we have these conversations about what's good for the community. That's what the Democrats offer us. That's what the Black rappers, the hip hop artists who, again, supposedly are talking about the streets. Half of their rhymes about getting out the hood. That's what their rhymes are about. They're about getting out the hood. They don't got to go. They go back to visit, but they're about getting out the hood. And in real life, they certainly getting out the hood for the most part, right? So so it's all that mixed in there.
Yeah, and as you said that if you're not rich, you're looked at as not smart or not intelligent. And I would also add that you're probably looked at as not violent as well, because in order to be rich or in order to be a billionaire or a capitalist, you have to a great extent be pro-violence. And if you're not enacting violence upon people, directly, you indirectly know that this money is blood money. You know what I'm saying? It's coming from people who suffered. You're not going to have $1 billion and none of that money comes from, not coming from anyone that suffered. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the whole nature of capitalism. Capitalism is violent. It is a violent.
Can we suffer 30 more seconds of abuse along these lines? Because Ricky just sent another gem. And thanks for the super chat, Eugene Mason. Appreciate you.
Yes,
and same to you, Brooke.
Yes.
Yeah, peace to you. Peace to Oakland.
Up early over there. It's like what, 5-6 o'clock over there?
6:39 a.m.
Okay.
Rise and shine.
Can I jump out there real quick before you say something on that?
Jump.
Before we go to Ricky, I want to just say, for the folks on the West Coast, there's been talk about a remix morning show, West Coast edition. So if there's any folks on the West Coast that are looking to do the remix morning show for coming out the West as well, so we can get a twofer, let us know. Holla at us.
Holla. Same thing, by the way. I saw a couple people. Thank you for reminding of that, Kalanji. And there are people in the chat talking about guest suggestions. We appreciate the chat, but that's not the best way to get that suggestion to us. Please email mediablackpower@gmail.com if you have guest suggestions for the remix, so we can hopefully get some organized eyes on it. But thanks to Ricky for this. I had not seen this. I missed this one, but this just promises to be delicious right here.
100 years ago, a beautiful empire built on Black excellence was booming. Black Wall Street. It was a sight to be seen until one day it was all burned to the ground. But fire is no match for the fire within Black dreamers everywhere. And so, new Black Wall Streets rise. city is committed to
unbelievable
Black business through banking.
Unbelievable. Shout out to Two Black and Black Miss podcast, and to a lesser extent, my own contributions to that work and exposing the mythologies around Black Wall Street. Please go watch those episodes, including the one we did on the circulating black dollar mythology. All of that is nonsense. But with all the great work we're doing here, it's hard to compete with that city-sponsored propaganda. My man from Atlanta and all these other spots he's been doing, talented brother. And unfortunately, his talents are being abused or turned against us once again. But you know,
yeah,
wow.
But it's about the commercial. They getting that commercial money. They literally will say anything. They literally will say anything that's put in front of them. They don't care about the analysis. They don't care about what it really means. They're doing well, and that means you can do well too if you follow their advice. It's like, that sounds good to me. Yeah.
So they left out. The script had to leave out. It said it was burned to the ground. And then they leave it at that. They, you know,
of course,
because it doesn't.
They didn't even say
sense.
who burned it to the ground.
That's what I'm saying. Because you can't, because you're coming back at the end of the commercial to get investment from that same community. That's right. That's what City is promising with Black entrepreneurialism and all this other stuff. Like, if you want investment for your business, which is why Black businesses cannot grow, you got to get City involved. Right. So you can't be talking about the white people that burned down your Wall Street when you want them to build it back up.
They benefited from it. So it's like, what are you talking about? There would be no city without burning down not only Black Wall Street, but all the other streets across America that we don't know about. You know what I'm saying? So it's necessary. It's part of the whole, you know, our enslavement, our captivity. You know what I'm saying? They benefit off it. They parlay the empire off of our suffering. So, you know, yeah. So hop your Black ass on here, do this commercial. We're gonna give you some trinkets. You know what I'm saying? And you be
I'm sorry. Yeah, they're gonna go get loans. They're gonna go try to get loans. They're not gonna get anyway. Citibank ain't giving you no loans for the most part. Shit. That's all propaganda. That's all for them not to look bad. That's not because they actually giving Black folks tons of money to further some business enterprise. That's all about the look, the feel. All they want from you is your savings account, so they can get those little pittance of money, gather them together, and then they go invest that. They're not giving you that money back in loans. That's not happening in mass. That's going to do anything for the community. So that's all the propaganda network. That's just another form of propaganda to be like, look, we're here. Look, we're catering to the Black community. We got a famous Black person. We gave that famous Black person more money to tell you the things that we think that y'all need to hear. Now just put your pennies in my bank and shut the fuck up and go home. And anytime you withdraw that money, here's a little fee for you. Here's a little fee for you here. Here's a little fee for you there. All that's going to happen when you try to withdraw that money. So it's
we got you on these interest rates. Don't forget the interest rates.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that. Shout out to the adult websites. Thank you. Appreciate that. We need some love.
I was trying to block that.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how to block it from here, but you know, shout out to the sex bots. You know, sex bots need work too. You know what I'm saying? They, you know. Hey, thanks, Franny French. We appreciate the money as you tell us that it is the enemy of nature. But here's some for BPM because it's BPM. Didn't want to spell it out.
We'll accept that.
Okay,
Franny French.
Yes, appreciate you,
Franny French.
The only French we accept around here, right? The only French positive reference to France around here. But
Absolutely. Be like Franny French.
Real quick.
Yes, what happened, brother?
My man. I know you all hate the soccer talk, but the French national, the best player in the world, Kylian Mbappe, the African conscripted into France, it has apparently had his French in Eurocentrism seep too much into his analysis because he was talking trash about Central and South American soccer, and that they're not as good as Europeans, which is why they don't win the World Cup anymore. And I would have loved to remind him that they don't win the World Cup anymore because all the best players, like himself, end up playing in Europe. They get their citizenship in Europe and go play in Europe because that's where all the money. That's colonialism playing out in the World Cup.
Or remind him that he's not European.
And that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. That's my whole point. Like, look at your French national team: Mbappe, Nkunku, Pogba. Benzema. You know what I'm saying? Like there's
bring
no
his ass
white
to Atlanta.
boys on the team.
Bring his ass to Atlanta and tell him to go to the park after dark. Tell his ass
and tell him to fall asleep at a Wendy's. Yeah,
see if your black ass, see how intelligent and how European your ass is then. You know what I'm saying?
Meanwhile, the two other best players on his current team in France are Neymar from Brazil and Messi from Argentina. Both, you know, so, but I'm saying, but anyway, so he may be the best player in the world, but he does not have the best analysis in the world. So he needs to tune into BPM as well.
And they're going to keep them books away from him. So
yeah,
they love that analysis. They're going to keep them books away from him. It's like, nah, don't you bother reading. I got a Citibank.
You need them. Yeah. Put these cleats on so we can kick you in your goddamn head.
I got some Nike commercials coming up for you. I got some real money for you. Don't you listen to them folks talking that radical shit.
Now, them black pop. Listen to what Byron said.
And that's the place where money does become important, because it's so overwhelmingly thought of as like the mechanism again in which power is expressed, that's the only thing that these folks want to hear. And then they're the ones who bleed it down to the masses in our community, because they are the very ones who have the ear of the masses in our community. And they do these dumbass commercials and these dumbass tricks, and they highlight, and even obviously the idea of how it gets highlighted in videos and all the rest of it. And we did bring up, I was going to bring this up a little bit earlier, really quick. Part of that 60-70 shift too was like how the from the revolutionary to the pimp and the gangster got the heroic treatment about being defenders of the community. And really they were about that slick shit too, right? It's about that slick shit of like how you dress, how you look, how you coming up in the game. It's got nothing to do with the larger community. It's got nothing to do with people pulling or people doing work in the community or organizing around interests. It's just about giving people heroes and sheroes who just look good, right? Or they got the symbol of looking good, which usually comes from they got some clothes and some designer wear and something else. And that's just been extended all the way to like the athletes and the actors and the politicians of the day.
Just real quick. Chrysalis, Pogba was a central figure in France's World Cup win just in 2018. So you can't, that comment isn't correct. But the point, my point isn't is Pogba good. The point is that French national team is almost entirely African. That was my point. So whatever Mbappe is talking about. Yeah, I'm saying no wonder France wins. They got half of Africa.
Exactly.
Literally, right? Literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
Anywhere could win with half of Africa.
That's what I'm saying.
We need half of Africa up in this motherfucker. Maybe we'll win. I ain't talking about
none of the dominant imperial powers are good at soccer. Okay, none of the non-dominant imperial powers, that is. So Italy, England, France, Germany,
they're good at
coincidentally,
war.
They win
violence.
Everything. And the Germans, to all due respect to the Nazis, the Germans are the only ones that do it almost exclusively with white boys. They don't even like the Turkish. They don't even like their Turkish players on the team.
Stop. The man.
I told you I like my hatred consistent.
The man just said, with all due respect to Nazis. There's a cat, and in the beginning of this show, y'all trying to shut me up for making a comment around.
I didn't know he was going.
No, I'm saying their hatred is consistent. You gotta respect that. They don't even like Turkish players. And in fact, if you look at the history of their team, the German national team beefs between Bayern Munich and the other German Dortmund, the other dominant German team. So like they don't even like each other. And yeah, they hate big up Mesut Ozil. They don't even like their Turkish players. They didn't even play Leroy Sané in the last World Cup. They hate.
I love how we always get drug into a soccer debate. Soccer and crypto. You're like, you gonna hear about soccer today.
You gonna hear about soccer and crypto today. Anyway,
sip though. Anyway,
by the way, speaking of that, shout out to Propaganda in Focus. My piece on cryptoganda should be dropping, I think, anytime today. Speaking of more crypto, so but anyway, I'll be back to bother you all about that when it officially hits. Hey, look, in the
Bitcoins.
In the last few minutes, what do we have to look forward to coming up from either both of your work in the streets or here on BPM? Anything we got to be alert to? We do have another set of we do have dropping today at 12 o'clock in Search for Black Power. And at 11 o'clock, we actually have the next edition of the Assata Chant series that we've been partnering with a focus on Sundiata Acoli. And several more of those will be dropping this week and throughout the rest of August as we continue to as a platform, raise up Black August resistance. But fellas, anything you want us to?
Well, for me, I guess one thing to mention real quick is, even though we haven't dropped it, we're about to start our fall fundraiser drive. So we appreciate all the money that we got in the chat today, all the money we got for Patreon. But we're going to start a bigger ask of folks in the neighborhood and community so that we can fund some more documentary films that are being made, so that we can fund some staffing adjustments we want to make, or some new staffing we want to bring on, some equipment needs. So all that stuff is going to be a big ask that we're going to be doing starting early next week. So we want folks to look out for that. And again, all jokes aside, I appreciate the contributions, but we're going to do a bigger push because we just want to make sure that we have the resources so that we can continue to spread this good message that we have. So that's one thing that I just wanted to make sure it's highlighted. And again, look for that early next week for us to drop that in there for y'all.
Right on.
Word up. We got a few things as well. Of course, that's the beautiful thing that he just named. On Saturday, for folks who are in the Richmond area, we'll be down there dealing with Happily Natural Day. Balogun, myself, and a number of other different folks. We'll be talking more Black August. Monday, we're doing a political education class with Chicago Resistors and Rebel Diaz, dealing with what is Black August. That'll be on Monday at 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, I believe. On Tuesday, we have a double header. We will have Dr. Joy James on Riot Starter TV at 11 a.m. That's 11 a.m. Dr. Joy James. And at 1 p.m. Eastern, we'll be doing a joint with a group out of Spain. I forgot the name of the joint, but it's going to be dealing with the 36-year anniversary of the Black Panther Party in Spain, and also we'll be talking about Public Enemy as far as their influence on hip hop. So stay tuned, check us out, and we're going to try to give you that heat from all the way around. Yes.
So we're going to come back around and talk to Ashanti at some point in the near future. I think most likely what we'll probably try to do, if the internet, his direct-to-internet connection doesn't get any better for the live, we'll probably film something or tape something so that we can put it up as a special. So again, for those who know Ashanti, y'all know that he brings just a lot of knowledge in terms of not only his life experiences, but such a well-read brother, and someone who can talk about the work that was done and it needs to get done in such an interesting way, that this, and the stories are just so good. When Ashanti starts talking about like almost breaking folks out, like that shit is just like having having a torch that burns out, and they're this close to getting the comrade out of jail. That's the story you need to hear. When he's talking about how in prison and the different prison breaks that they plan to get out, that's the story that we all need to hear. When he's talking about the work they did in the street, with the breakfast programs, when he's talking about the other work that they did, again, with little resource, with people power, like literally just people power, and them being and proudly calling themselves just the grunts of the movement, right? Not no fanfare, not trying to be like the leaders of the Panthers, as in they trying to rise up. But instead, what they're trying to do is to make sure they get that work on the ground. And nobody knew their names during that time period. And they didn't give a damn about people knowing their names.
And they were young.
And they were in their 20s. They were 19. I mean, they joined the Panthers at 16.
Yes.
At 16 years old, they joined the Panthers.
Jihad last night said, he said something like, he said, with all due respect to the young folks, stop inviting us old heads to all these. He was like, imagine when he was like, Ashanti, we were doing our thing, we would have never invited one of us with all this gray hair. He was like, I show up because I'm committed, but I'm not. He's like, don't invite. He was like, you all figure it out.
Right. And another thing about, I was like, them too, man. As far as like when you to Kamal's point, they're two of the coolest, most humble cats you're going to run across. You talking about a thorough ass whooping that you'll receive from someone that you think is, because they're not rah-rah or whatever, it don't appear to be rah-rah. These are two brothers right here, man, who, I honor and respect because, their analysis and their commitment is so on point. And just that, like I said, that commitment to me, that's just as important as the analysis, because there's a whole lot of folks that can tell you the deepest shit in the world. They knew when capitalism first came on the scene, who put the C in it, the whole nine. But that commitment to our people, because sometimes we're so damn sharp that we miss the point. We cut all the way around the motherfucker, and it's clean cut. But we forget to hit that center point. And those brothers, man, those are two brothers that definitely have proven their commitment for decades. And
the last thing I'll say about Ashanti is, as an elder, as somebody who's is like I guess 12 or 13 years older than myself, when he was around in New York, organizing, this is obviously post-Panther days, Panther Collective, and other things that he was doing in the 90s, 20-year-olds, 19-year-olds having discussions, debates with Ashanti. It always felt like a learning experience, and not one where somebody was sitting you down and wagging their finger at you and telling you what to do, but someone who was really engaging folks who were trying to learn and figure out what struggle was. Somebody who, he had jokes, he was humorous, but he engaged you, and you felt like you were part of a real conversation that led to growth, as opposed to either being chastised by somebody or thinking that you didn't know anything. But that was a brother who figured out a good way in which to deal with folks who, again, literally probably did not read and or know a third, if that much, of what this person knew. But he never made you feel small, even when your analysis didn't add up. He would challenge your analysis, but it was done in a way that would build you up. And so all praises due. I'll never tell him this in person, what I'm saying, when he's on here, but all praises due to that brother. And we're going to work really hard just to make sure we get him on here so that folks can get that hear those stories and hear that wisdom directly from them.
And that's something.
And it was
great.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. Rock on.
I was going to say it was brought up even in the chat yesterday about Brother Irvin and Ashanti and anarchism having more of a platform here at BPM. And again, I want to remind folks, we endeavor to do all of these things, and it's not for a lack of effort that more hasn't occurred. So I just want, we are aware of that interest, and we have it ourselves. So, but anyway, go ahead, Kalonji.
No, and I was going to say the beauty, one thing that I appreciate about our elders and the generation that came before us is the opportunity to develop and establish relationships where we've actually learned so much from these folks and had the opportunity, because I see people in the chat like, this one and that one should get together, and I would love to hear from this one and that one. But, being in car rides and on trips with a lot of these people, you know what I'm saying, and really getting to hear from them is like that's been that goes to what we were talking about earlier as far as the inspiration and the therapy, because you begin to realize that we're not alone in this joint, and this and these brothers are cool, man. These brothers, these sisters, they really put that work in, man. So we're grateful, definitely grateful. To Alice is, yes, we do have a Patreon. Our Patreon is where? Come on, go to blackpowermedia.org.
blackpowermedia.org and hit the donate button, and you'll get all the options and all the contact. But by the way, we do encourage, check out blackpowermedia.org. We know a lot of you come through the YouTube channel and other spaces, but please do check out that website for the merch, for the Patreon, for all the other ways to contact us, for contact forms, for submitting show ideas, for sending us suggestions for guests. It really helps if we do it there, because a lot of great ideas come through the chat, but we can't organize it and keep up with it as well as as when it comes to the site. So please do.
We have new merch dropping on BPM next week, so stay tuned.
Oh, word up.
Cool. And nice. I just dropped it in the chat. I looked for it and I found the Patreon, so I just dropped it in the chat for anybody who's interested in giving money that way. We appreciate it. I think we may have another special guest who just popped up.
I don't think so.
I think they're here for a meeting.
Ready for the next one?
They're here for a meeting and not working together. So
got all excited. But on that note, it is 10 o'clock.
It is 10 o'clock. Time to go. Back tomorrow morning, Remix Morning Show. That's right. Peace, because we know you're willing to fight for it, as Fred Hampton used to say. We'll catch you later on all throughout the platform. Don't go anywhere. Stay on the platform. Lots of stuff dropping. Thanks, everybody, for another great show. Peace.
War without